Happy holidays, everybody. This is my bi-weekly Disneyland Magical Audio Tour vlog update for December 16th, 2017. First of all, I normally would have released this yesterday. However, I was in the middle of a project for my website, and I wanted to have it completed before I did my vlog so that I could show you the final product of what I have been working on the past couple of days and included in this update. So I apologize that I am a day late, but I had a very good excuse. So let me show you what I did. I noticed that when I was opening my Christmas in Disneyland chapter that it was loading very slow, and well, it was a holiday, let me clarify, holiday time in Disneyland chapter. It was loading very slow, and because of all the content I added to the Christmas section, the page had ballooned to over 165 tracks. There were 166 tracks total on the page, and I think because there was so much on one page, it was causing the page to load very slowly. So I had in the back of my mind been thinking about splitting up the chapter into two chapters, with Christmas as its own individual chapter and all the other holidays on a separate chapter, because if you didn't know, I had every holiday on one chapter: Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Halloween. My hesitation in splitting up the chapter was that I had all of the Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween, Haunted Mansion overlay on the Halloween section right after the Christmas section, so I was kind of like able to kind of justify that it kind of covers both holidays. And I thought that if I split up the chapter, then the Nightmare Before Christmas would all be on the Halloween page, and you wouldn't be able to listen to it when you were doing your Christmas listening. So a light bulb went off, and I said, well, why don't I just put them on both chapter and repeat them in both chapters? So once I thought of doing that, having all the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff on the Christmas chapter and then repeating it again on the Halloween and other holiday chapter, that gave me the green light in my own mind to go ahead and do the dividing of the chapter. And it really needed to be done because it was just too much on one page and it was loading really slow. I was thinking that when I plan on updating the media player that I'm using currently. Next month I'm going to work on that. And I thought maybe when I switch to the new media player it might speed up the loading of the page, but I decided regardless, it was too much on one page and too difficult to navigate and too much going on one page. So I decided to split up the chapter, and that's what I have been working on the past couple of days. And it is a major, major task to add a new chapter to the collection because there's a lot of shuffling around, renaming things, new artwork that's needed. It's just a major, major undertaking, and it takes a lot of time. I've been working on it nonstop for the past 2 days, and that's why you haven't seen any new Christmas audio in the past few days, because I've been working diligently to get this done now. And I've just finished this morning, with one exception. You may notice, if you're listening to this right after I've posted the video, that some of the images may be a little askew, some of the pictures, because there's a kind of a glitch in the program I use to design my website, where if you rename an image, it will remember the former image that had the same name, and it will post the wrong image. It'll post the image that had that name before, and it will do that for several hours, and then it'll kind of readjust itself and then revert to the new names of the images. I hope this is making sense. So I have to go back in a few hours after it does its thing, whatever, it recalibrates its memory of what was there before, and fix the images on a couple of the chapters. So you might notice the wrong pictures next to some of the tracks, and that's why. But I'm going to fix that by the end of the day, so if you're not listening to this on the 16th, you won't see that. But let me show you the new chapter, which is just all the other holidays besides Christmas. So what I did was, well, I had to get a new one because every page has a different Mickey Mouse in a different costume, and I was kind of like wondering what I should use to represent every holiday, and I kind of came up with this idea. I found, I had this picture of Mickey in this costume, but I actually added this sash myself. I drew this myself and added the MASCOT on it because I figured this would kind of represent multiple holidays. It's not specific to one holiday. I don't know, it kind of makes sense to me for that to be a picture to represent this chapter. Originally I had a ghost to represent Halloween, but then it's like, that doesn't make sense because it's not all about Halloween. So I feel this kind of encompasses the idea of every holiday in a kind of a roundabout way. So a little creativity on my part there. So here's the new title card for the chapter, and I wrote a new little introduction. And these images come from a 1958 Disneyland record called Holidays with the Mouseketeers. And I cut them out and made a little collage. And so this is the new title card. And this chapter is chapter 23, so it comes right after chapter 22, which was the Christmas chapter, and with all the other holidays, but now it's just exclusively the Christmas chapter. I kept the same name for this chapter with the same subtitle, but I did change the name of chapter 22, which I will show you in a second. So this chapter is just all the other holidays besides Christmas. Now originally I had Halloween at right under Christmas, which would have preceded Valentine's Day, but I decided to change that since it's all on one page. It's a separate page, I should say, to have the holidays all in chronological order, ending with New Year's. So I start with Valentine's, and I go to St. Patrick's, Easter, 4th of July, then comes Halloween, then Thanksgiving, international festivals, and then New Year's as the final to the chapter. So if you're having a problem viewing the play bars recently, just do this, because I've been having this issue. I don't know, Firefox did an update, and ever since then the player bars aren't all popping up unless you run your mouse over them. See, if I run my mouse over the play bars, they appear. So do that and the play bars will show up. Again, I am going to be replacing the media player, so this is a temporary glitch. So if you are having a problem viewing the play bars, just run your mouse in the little spot where it should be and it'll pop up and it won't be a problem. So that's the new chapter, and I went with a rainbow type background because it's covering several different themes. So normally I would have one color as the background, but because I'm covering several different themes, I figured a rainbow would be good because it's different, all different colors for all different themes. So the theme, the color scheme of this chapter is rainbow. And the other thing is I updated the hub directory, and I kind of rearranged the order of the chapters. I put Christmas in Disneyland as chapter 22. Holiday Time in Disneyland, which is the page we're on, is chapter 23. I moved Disneyland Anniversaries, which is also called Magical Milestones, which encompasses birthday celebrations and anniversary celebrations held in the park. I moved it here because I figured these three chapters sort of go together because they're all about, in a way, holidays. Anniversaries can sort of be considered holiday type stuff. So I kind of put all these three together as one chunk, and then I bumped up the other three chapters. So originally Anniversaries was the last chapter, but I moved it to follow Holiday Time in Disneyland. So the chapter order has slightly changed, and I had to rearrange all that too, which took some time. So this is the new page. And so if you want to listen to any other holiday besides Christmas, it's on a separate page now. So let me show you the Christmas page. So the first part of the chapter is pretty much exactly what was there before, because when I added in the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, it came in at like around about track number 60. So everything before track 60 is exactly the same number that it was before. But then when I added all this stuff for the Nightmare Before Christmas holiday overlay, it bumped up some of these other tracks. And originally I had 93 Christmas tracks, but then when I added in the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff to this section, it bumped up. So now there's a total of 99 Christmas tracks. So as you can see on the other holiday chapter, I had all the Haunted Mansion holiday stuff separate with separate liner notes. For the Christmas version, Christmas page, I decided to do my little thing where I do like a whole section as one thing with just one liner note and then have the colored background, as I did on my, like as I did up here with my Main Street stuff. You've probably noticed how I've done that on other chapters if you've surveyed my site in the past. So I set this up sort of like the same way with, a whole section of Nightmare Before Christmas. I keep saying Nightmare Before Christmas. It's called Haunted Mansion Holiday, sorry. So that's this, and then I also added in the French Market area music because that's played both during Halloween and Christmas. And then I added the Grim Grinning Ghost Christmas version of Grim Grinning Ghost, which was in my Halloween section before, but this track I actually deleted from the Halloween section. All the other tracks are still in the Halloween section, but this particular track is only on the Christmas page. You won't find it on the Halloween page anymore. So the other tracks are exactly the same as they were before. The only difference is after the last Christmas track, the chapter ends, and the I added in the Nightmare Before Christmas Haunted Mansion holiday stuff. I also changed the pictures down here because before this little section down here had a picture from all the different holidays. I changed it so now it's just all Christmas. I changed the color scheme on this stuff. Before it was the rainbow thing. Now it's red and green. So I made this page completely 100% just Christmas now. So that's where we are at with the updates to, the splitting up of the chapter. And that took me a couple days of hard work to get done. So that's what's been going on the past couple of days. And before that, I did add some new tracks. Before I decided to split up the chapter, I had been working diligently on, doing my final editing of several tracks. And I'll talk about those right now and tell you what I've added to the site since my last update. There's several that I've added. First of all, the first one would be this one, the Kids of the Kingdom Christmas Medley. Now, I know, and this picture right here confirms it, that before they had like a Christmas stage show with a plot, because in later years the Christmas stage shows that they've done had some sort of a plot, and it was a story that was being told. They would have more of a musical stage show review where they would just sing a series of Christmas songs, and it was the Kids of the Kingdom. Maybe a few characters might appear, but it was mostly just a musical review of Christmas songs without any plot or storyline or anything like that. I don't have any audio of it, but what I did do is I did some digging around, and I found a musical group singing a bunch of great Christmas songs that sounds pretty much exactly like the Kids of the Kingdom. They're called the Fireside Singers, and I found an hour's worth of really cute Christmas songs by them, put them together, and I'm using that to represent the Kids of the Kingdom performing a Christmas stage show at Disneyland. So that's the first thing I added since my last update. Next thing I added, and if you see all these other tracks that say new next to them, if you want an update on that, go back to my December 1st blog update, and that will provide all the details on all of these tracks. I've already discussed them in detail in my last blog, and that's why I'm skipping over them. So the next track I added is The Magic of Christmas in Disneyland, which is the audio from a direct-to-video presentation that was sold exclusively at Disneyland Park, and it was sort of a overview of all the different holiday entertainment in the park, and it was made in 1992, so a lot of that stuff is extinct. So it's kind of like a look back, and the video has like this kind of storyline where Goofy is decorating a tree, he gets out a chainsaw and does weird stuff, and it doesn't really translate to an audio-only experience. A lot of that stuff that happens between the musical segments, so I edited out all of that type of dialogue-y type stuff, and so I took out about 7 minutes of the video and made it, just exclusively a music type thing that makes sense as an audio-only experience. And it was a really difficult edit because I took out a lot of, sound effects that were distracting and different things like that, and just a lot of work to clean it up and make it work as an audio experience. But I'm really happy with how it came out, and it's really fun to listen to. So the next one I did is the Esplanade Christmas area background music. This is the music you'd hear outside Disneyland as you're entering the park, and it's basically a montage of different Christmas music you would hear inside the attractions in Disneyland, or musical themes that are featured inside Disneyland and California Adventure. It's just kind of like it's basically a preview of what you'll hear later on in the parks. So originally I didn't include this because back in the day I wasn't as concerned with being like including every single thing. I've kind of changed my philosophy on that, where now I want to include everything, and I want all of the area loops to be the full area loop, not just like a section of it, you know. So even though you'll hear all of this stuff later on in other tracks, and that was my justification for not including it before, I want to be a completionist now, so I'm including it. Speaking of having everything included, my current Main Street area music loop that I have posted on the site currently that you can listen to does not include the music box stuff that is part of the loop. I left it out and I had it as a separate track before. I'm going to go back and redo this. This is probably the next project I'm going to work on. And I'm going to put back in all of the music box things so that it is the full loop, not an abridged version. So that's the next project I'm going to work on. Next thing I added was the Mickey's Christmas Carol window display from the Emporium. To represent that, I put in the song "Oh, What a Merry Christmas Day" from the soundtrack of Mickey's Christmas Carol. And I also found a really neat instrumental version of the song recently, and I included that as well. So it's you probably never heard the instrumental only version. It's not from the soundtrack. It's like a totally different version of it, and it's a lot of fun. So check that out. The next thing I added, scrolling way down, is I did all the parade stuff, because I actually I wrote an article for a website that I am a contributing writer for about the history of Disneyland Christmas parades. So I kind of, I had been going kind of in order of the chapter, as far as editing things, but I skipped ahead and did all my parade stuff because I wanted to include that audio as part of the article that I wrote for the Disney Avenue website. So some of these things were already on the site, but I updated them, improved the audio, and some of them are new things. So basically, a rundown. The Jack Wagner announcement is like a announcement that the parade is about to begin for the Very Merry Christmas Parade. Then I have the Very Merry Christmas Parade Overture, which is a medley of Disney songs. Then I have the full Very Merry Christmas Parade. The version I had before was inaccurate because I included stuff, unbeknownst to me, that was exclusively from Walt Disney World's parade, which was called Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Parade. And then there's some confusion in my mind originally about that, but I figured out what is Disneyland, what is Disney World. I took out all the Disney World stuff, put in just exclusively the Disneyland stuff, and added some sections I had left out because, again, as I had mentioned with the Esplanade, it was stuff that was heard elsewhere, so I didn't want to include it because I felt it was duplicating the same thing. But now it's okay if I duplicate the same thing because I have 1,500 tracks on my site, and the chances of you coming across the same audio somewhere else is, very minimal, so it's okay to have the same thing in different places. That's my thinking now. I mean, originally I had less than 400 tracks on the site. Now I have 1,500, so my thinking on these things is different now. And then in Christmas Fantasy Parade, again, the version I had before, this was close to what I had before, but I did a lot of cleanup, and this is like a better audio quality than the version I had before. And then the character greetings are dialogue that you hear over the music. There's 3 different sections with Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, and then there's a section with Goofy and Max, his son, and then there's a Roger Rabbit section. So all three of those are no longer included in the parade, so it's kind of like I separated it as its own separate little fun track. So you'll still hear the same music in the actual parade, but you won't hear the dialogue over it. This version is just the dialogue version, so it's like a little bonus track for that. Next thing I added is Big Thunder Ranch Santa Claus Meet and Greet. This is taken from some sort of a promo that Disney did to promote the reindeer they used to have at Big Thunder Ranch, and talked about how you could meet Santa there. And it's came out kind of cute. I added some echo reverb to it to make Santa sound like, you know, how Santa sometimes has an echoey sound to his voice. And yeah, it's short but really cute. Check that one out. It'll give you a giggle. So then the last two things I added are from Bear Country. I added it's a exit spiel and music that was kind of an alternate version that was only used, I think, for the first couple years of the show, and then they changed it. So this is kind of a bonus track of some audio that was not in the final version of the show. It was in the earlier days of the show. And it has Max, Buff, and Melvin having a little discussion. And it's cute, because Max, Buff, and Melvin are cute. And then the last thing, this is a promotional news spot talking about the new Country Bear Jamboree in '84 and the Christmas special, and talking about, you know, how they developed it and stuff. Disney, I don't know if they still do this. They may. I think with the era of online media, it's probably not done this way anymore, but originally what they would do is Disney would make a little news spot and make it kind of sound generic, like it was something that a local news station would have produced. But Disney produced it. Disney had all the package put together, and then it would send it out to local news stations around the country, or maybe more, in Disneyland's case, it would be more, you know, in the region, like, you know, California, Oregon, you know, the West Coast region. And then the news stations could use that and play it on their, you know, the 6 o'clock news, and it would seem like they produced it, but when in fact Disney produced it. So this is one of those, this is the audio from one of those little news spots, and it's kind of describing the Country Bear Christmas special. So that is everything I have added, and that is a breakdown on my dividing of the chapter. Just a little heads up, on December 20th, I am going to be releasing episode 85 of my Jiminy Crickets podcast, and it is going to be all about Babes in Toyland, the 1961 Walt Disney musical. And I just want to let you know that there will be a lot of spoilers, and I know a lot of people may not have seen that film, because it's kind of one of those underrated films that isn't really promoted that often by Disney, which is something we're going to bring up on the podcast. But I just wanted to let you know that we're doing that show in case you would like to watch the film. I know you can stream it on Amazon, I think, for $4. So if you'd like to watch that film before you listen to the episode, I just wanted to give you a little advance warning to give you time to check out the movie. You won't regret it. It is a terrific film, and we have a lot to say about it, but you might benefit more from the podcast by watching the film before you see or before you hear the podcast. So that being said, before I go, I just want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and I hope you get all your wishes come true this holiday season. And I will be adding more Christmas music from now until the new year. Hopefully I'll be able to add something new or more than one new track a day. So keep a lookout on my Twitter and Facebook. I'm at DisneyChris73 on Twitter, and I am Chris Linden on Facebook. That's Lyndon, as in Lyndon Johnson. Whenever I post something new to my website, I immediately do an update on both Twitter and Facebook to let everyone know, hey, there's new audio on my site. Go check it out. So I'm going to try to add some new content every day, get as much of my Christmas chapter done between now and New Year's, and so keep a lookout. And that being said, I hope everyone is going to have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas, and I will talk to you next year. Bye-bye, everybody.